So the biggest question that gets asked constantly is, what team should I be using? Who should I reroll for? Which account should I keep? Who are the best units? Is cake better than pie? Well, maybe not that one, but Mama Bear Poir is going to answer all those other questions for you today. But before we even begin, no matter which 5-star you get, no matter how meta you built your team, no matter how many god rolls you got on gear, if you're not playing the team right or the unit right, not doing the right combos, etc., you will never bring that team to its full potential. This game may seem simple at first, however, after World Level 1 and beyond, which is around rank 20 after you beat the Dragon Quest, it will quickly become more challenging, requiring more knowledge of mechanics and more skill from you. The most common mistake I see people make is not switching between characters constantly. You want to switch often, using each unit's skills as soon as they're available before going back to your main DPS. Which, speaking of, there's a big misconception of the main DPS. The main DPS is actually the last character you're going to use in a big fight. You want to use your other character skills first, and then switch to your main DPS as a finisher. So, speaking in terms of food, which I know you guys love food, your support units and even support DPS are appetizers, while your main dish is the main course meal. Dessert-wise, the main DPS is the cake, but a plain cake ain't crap without the sprinkles, the frosting, and the strawberries on top, which are the support units. Simple, right? To show you an example combo, I got Diluc and 3 other 4-stars, 2 of which are free, and Diluc is from rerolling, which I still recommend doing if you don't have any 5-stars still. Reroll till you get one, but I usually begin the battle with Diluc using his E with 1 to 2 basic attacks between each E move. Not every main DPS can do this, so if you got a one-hit skill like say Razor's E, then after using that is when you would switch. But as soon as I do his final hit, I switch, and from here it's just a chain reaction of using all my support skills with each character, with Barbara being the last one before switching back to Diluc, so I can trigger Vaporize with his finisher and destroy the boss easy. This is how you need to approach every fight. Not sit there with the main DPS or even support unit whacking away with basic attacks. Small enemies like Hilly Churls? Sure. But big bad wolves? Nah. You will not generate energy using basic attacks, only from skills, killing the enemy, or triggering elemental reactions. If you see my streams, I practically have Diluc's ultimate going off constantly because I switch so often while doing all of those things I said. Likewise, another tip here is, before doing a boss like say Andreas or even these mini bosses, have your skills ready by beating small Hilly camps or something, or commissions. That way you can go all ham to kill the boss quicker and have an easier time. So, we got that down, but before moving on to the teams and best units, I'm gonna teach you guys a secret tip no one else has mentioned.
What are you gonna teach me today? A brand new technique? How to sense energy? What about how to fly?
Dodge!
That's right.
But I think I'm finally getting the hang of it.
Dodge!
Dodge.
Dodge!
Do it. Do it often. Get into the habit of not standing still and dodge and move around as often as you can. You will not only survive better, but the game will become infinitely more fun when being active. Dodges not only escape a deadly attack, but dodges can cancel any attack you do or shorten the animation of some, like Claymore finishers. Doing a charge attack, animation cancel it with a dodge at any time. Dodges also have a small blip of iframes, which can allow you to phase through an enemy's attack. So once you master these two habits, only then will you bring out the most of your team. But how should you build your team if you did master these things? Sure, I do have Diluc, yes, he's a 5-star, yes, he's one of the best DPSs in the game, even at 0 constellations, but you can still do good with certain other 4-star units. However, my opinion has changed on who you should use. For top 5-star main DPSs, you only got 2 options at the moment, Keck W and Deluxe. Of course, you're gonna start commenting, well, I can use this guy, sure. You can build the others as DPS just fine. You can build a Jean as a DPS, a Venti as a DPS, a freaking Barbara as a DPS and do 24,000 damage. Whatever you want, because gear is what actually matters in the end. But these 2 characters are useless if they're not the main DPS, because they're only effective when they're out, whereas most other heroes have usability as support. with lingering skills where they're dealing damage even while they're not out. For anyone familiar with PoE, Path of Exile, anyone familiar with Neo, Diablo, and builds and stuff like that, you guys know stacking is the most important aspect to becoming God tier, and Genshin Impact is no different. The more damage effects you can stack together at the same time, the more overall DPS, damage per second, you're doing. Thus, previously something like Xiangling was touted as a usable main DPS for free to play. Wrong. She's way better as a support DPS, as a sub DPS, because her skills linger on the field. So for 4 stars, the top main DPS roles are Razor, Chong, and maybe Beidou for standard attack damage. Also all Claymore users ironically. Beidou though is kind of a hybrid actually. She can be a main, she can be a sub if you don't have Fischl. But at the moment, Razor is the best main DPS 4 star. Chong is good too, but there's minimal ice characters to benefit from the 2x element buff, aside Kea. So at the moment, until Neko-chan is released, he's lower tier than Razor. So effectively, max DPS slot goes to those 5 units. Now when I talk about DPS, I'm talking about them, but more importantly, I'm talking about the entire team's output of DPS, not the individual. And to reach that, you need these characters in this role. Now the sub DPS role expands immensely. By sub DPS, I mean you put your best gear on your main DPS, and then your second best set gear on the sub DPS for one team. For Abyss and stuff that requires 2 teams though, you likely want your first and second best gear sets on 2 main DPS units, 1 for each team. But back to the sub DPSs, you guessed it, Xiangling and Fischl are top tier for 4 stars. Not even just for free to play, but even for whale teams as well. If you're not using one of these units in your team, you're likely doing it wrong. Of course, Venti is the top 5-star unit because he plays this role well, and on top of that brings CC and large AoE. This is another factor to consider. For best clear speed of big groups, you want someone that can be doing big AoE damage or can stun the enemies or group them together, such as Venti or Mona. 4 stars really don't have this leisure outside of Fischl and Xiangling's Qs, which can, at the least, hit multiple enemies quickly. The Wind MC might seem good because of its tornado, but actually not really, because it usually drags people away from your main DPS rather than locking them in place, thus reducing your overall damage. Sucrose though is better than MC for this role if wanting to use Wind, as the AoE is fairly big and they simply blast them into the air for your main DPS to hit them. Kiki and Mona together have great synergy due to big AoE and free skills, on top of being good sub DPS units, and in Kiki's case she heals, while Mona provides taunt, so also good defensively. So all these units are the units you need to use to be most effective. Actually, in most cases, you want 2 of these units on a team, with one matching the element of your main DPS. Let's say you got Diluc, you're always going to have Xiangling as a sub DPS unless you want Amber to beat the Lightning Cube more easily. Once Child and Geodude come out, then units like Mona and Graveler can be more relevant in team compositions, although in Water's case, the 2x bonus is not that amazing, so meh. But the last kind of relevant role is a healer. Jean, Kiki, and Barbara are pretty much the only viable ones at the moment. Again, the Ice Neko-chan is going to add to that as a budget free-to-play Kiki, but actually Barbara may indeed be the best healer because of a single 3-star gear piece. But wait, why'd I single Barbara out? Well, because she's a mage, and mages can equip this 3-star book right here, super easy to get early on, and it increases the attack of the next unit switched in after them by up to 48% at max refinement. 48% attack boost. This is why I switched Diluc after Barbara and do big dig damage. So pretty much every comp wants a mage for this reason. Barbara, Mona, and Sucrose are the best holders as they are great support units. Something like Lisa, though, not so much, because her only relevant support skill is Q, which takes kinda long to get up, so use those other ones instead. Bennett is also another attack buffer as well once he does his Q, so he too can also be plugged into teams. So if I had the chance to create my dream team, if I didn't need a healer at the moment, and wanted max DPS, my team would be Diluc, Bennett, Venti or Fischl, either one, and a mage. That would be my dream team. I would have CC with Venti or let's say Mona, Bennett increases my Diluc's attack, and the mage artifact on Mona or whoever would as well. Now artifacts, weapons, reactions, and elemental effects, those play an equally, if not bigger role than teams. But I'll make a separate video for those as I want to go really in depth with them, and that's going to make the video too long if I added all that crap right now. So for now, we'll end it here, but hopefully you guys know who and what teams to use and how you should be playing to maximize your experience in Genshin Impact. If you want to see more future guides, make sure to give this video a like and subscribe so you don't miss those videos for more Genshin epicness.